You are charging enough. Let's take a look here. Let me get the countdown up. All right, good. We got a 2 minute countdown clock going on. I'm going to give everyone just a couple minutes to arrive into the show. If you could do me a solid, and as you get into this live stream right now, just say hi to me. Let me know where you're watching from. If you're new to this community, let me know that as well, so I can say thank you for being here. Thanks for being new. Trusting me with your time, your attention. Those are both really valuable resources of yours, and so I hope I stewarded them well. And if you're catching the replay, go ahead and type replay for me in the chat. Let me get the chat up right now. Hey, Stephen, good to have you here, my friend. Again, if you're just joining me, we're going to talk about how to know if we're charging enough, especially to hit our financial goals. Everyone's, we throw around numbers in terms of like what we should be charging, what someone charges, what our competition charges. Sometimes we set our prices as that. But sometimes not sometimes, it's pretty much always really valuable to understand like what are actual goals that you as an individual are trying to reach. Personally, professionally, we also have to kind of extend this conversation to be more long-term and not just to pay the bills, but what about like to set aside for savings, all that kind of stuff. So we're going to have that conversation. Someone's stoked that they made it live. What's going on, Conway from Arkansas? Newbie from the Czech Republic. Thanks for being here. Really appreciate that. From Montreal, from Wisconsin. Let's go. Watching from Northeast Ohio. I'm going to throw you up probably in the Cleveland area. Hey, Shannon, thanks for being here. OHIO, my friend. 19 seconds on the clock. And then we will get in to the content. Really excited for this conversation. I think this is going to be really valuable for people to see just like a really clear way to break this down, to kind of look at these numbers, to understand, to start to set some goals, and then to reverse engineer the goals that you have. And so with that being said, welcome you guys. My name is Ben Hartley. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, I am here in this community on my Facebook Mastermind Group with live videos at 3 p.m. EST each of those days just to help coach creatives. I run a full-time wedding photography studio. And then if you'd like to join me over on Clubhouse, Clubhouse is where I do 30-minute Q&As each morning, Monday through Friday at 10 a.m. each day. So go ahead and follow me over there on Clubhouse, Ben Hartley on Clubhouse. And then the last thing is this. I do workshops. I do free workshops here in the Facebook group. And if you are interested in any of those workshops, they're going to be under the units tab or the guides tab. There's also a saved announcement. If you click on announcements, you're going to see a link for all of the past workshops that have gone on in this group. The replays are all available. They're all free. They're all killer workshops. There's no pitch. There's no sale at the end of those workshops either. The next workshop is going to be held not this Thursday, but the following Thursday. So it's going to be next Thursday. Let me actually pull up the dates here. And it is going to be a workshop here. Let me, benhartley.com/workshop. benhartley.com/workshop. Hold on. Let me get my dates right for you guys here. Okay, so the next workshop is going to be next Thursday, the 18th. So March 18th, and it is going to be a workshop on mindset, how to break through your limiting beliefs and grow your photography business. A lot of the content that I produce is in the self-development space. I'm a trained transformational coach, and I've seen the impact that getting my head right has made in my business. And so it's one of my goals is to extend that conversation within the photography community. And so if you're curious about the workshops, they are live in the Facebook group where you're watching this video right now, unless you're on YouTube, but where you're watching this video right now. And so on the 18th at 3 p.m. EST. All right, you guys, let's get into today's content. So when it comes to actually making an impact for you hear these stories of people hitting $10,000 weddings, $7,000 weddings. If you're in the portrait space, you hear people talking about averaging $3,000 average for portraiture. A lot of that is involving print sales. You hear, honestly, you hear things like, well, I made $500,000 last year. Or even if that's too big, if that's too ludicrous for you, my photography business brought in $90,000, whatever that number is. We hear all this stuff all the time. And sometimes we just feel defeated by these numbers. It can feel rather crippling or completely far-fetched, like out of reach. And so then the response to these type of declarations of winning, like the response to this type of stuff is like, well, how did you do it? What did you do? How did you get someone to pay you $10,000 a wedding? How did you average $3,000 for your portrait sales? And a lot of times that conversation quickly goes to, well, hey, you got to charge what you're worth. You got to charge what you're worth. And so well, what does that mean? What does that mean? I'd like to talk a little bit about what it might mean. I'd like to also talk about what it kind of doesn't mean. And I'm going to get into the back end of a pricing calculator today. Maybe I should have started with that. I'm going to show you guys a pricing calculator that I have of mine here. And but before I do, I want to talk about what charging your worth does not mean. So I've got a pricing calculator, and I'm going to share my screen, and I'm going to go through my pricing calculator with you guys. But what charging what you're worth does not mean, it does not mean, well, I've got a mortgage of $2,000 a month, and I got these 3 little kids, and they keep eating all my damn food. And so my grocery bills, they're like $400 a month. And then on top of that, I've got this studio here. I got this office, and that's another $1,000 a month. And well, I got this car that I got this loan for. So I got this car that I got to pay off. And I really would like to I'd like to take a vacation. I'd like to get these kids out to Disney World because 2020 has just been a hell of a year. And so I've got all these expenses. And so a lot of times we look at our life and we look at our expenses. We're like, well, this is what my life's worth. This is what I need to charge. That's what's charging what I'm worth. This is my cost of doing business and my cost of, living. And so I'm just going to charge based off of that. And the reason that's not really too helpful in terms of to start charging there is just from an economic standpoint. It's like just because your expenses equal X doesn't mean anyone should pay you X. It's like, well, do they even value it that much? Or are you saying that if you get a new car that you should now start charging more? It's like, well, so I should pay you more because you're living a life that has bigger expenses. And so charging what we're worth gets really, it just doesn't really work out from an economic standpoint. It doesn't work out from a value standpoint, meaning your life expenses, your cost of doing business, that might not actually be what people consider you worth paying, right? Like your expenses, your cost of doing business might outweigh the value that you're delivering to people. And so sure, you can charge what you're worth, you can charge your cost of doing business, but if the value isn't there, no one's going to pay you anything. And so when I say this is a pricing calculator that we're going to kind of go over today, what I really want to emphasize is it's less of a pricing calculator and that this is going to be more of a way to check your current lifestyle against what your business is bringing in. A lot of times we have a lifestyle. We've got mortgages and we got restaurants that we eat out at and we've got big dreams. We got big lifestyles. And then we want to go full time with our photography, or then we want to cut back on the amount of events that we're going to photograph or whatever it is. And this calculator that I'm going to share with you guys, I'm going to screen share it here, will really help you to get honest. Like maybe you're working a full-time job right now and you're wanting to quit and go full-time with photography. Maybe you've got a day job, a 9 to 5, and you're wanting to go full-time into boudoir. This pricing calculator will help you to understand what that would require for you to do that. Like how much would you have to charge and how many events would you have to photograph? How many boudoir sessions, maybe how many boudoir sessions and weddings, that kind of stuff. Oh, in order to support your lifestyle. Okay. Now the response after looking at this pricing calculator isn't, well, you should pay me this amount because this is what my expenses are. But the response may be, oh, fuck me, I need to dial back my lifestyle. That may be the current response, but now you've got goals to hit in order to move that lifestyle back up. Right. So I guess I want to give that caveat because a lot of times people think that their cost of doing business means that they're worth charging that amount. And those aren't like that's not the same energy. Those two things aren't equal. Okay. But through this calculator, we're going to be able to get clear about if I were to replace my business, if I were to replace my income with photography, how much would I need to charge? How many events would I need to do? And to really look at those numbers and to get honest about it. Now, so I'm going to hop over here. I'm going to share this. I'm going to share this pricing calculator here right now with you guys. And so this calculator here, this is a free version of the calculator that I have right here that I'm going to give you guys access to, but that's not the one I'm going to use today. This is a free version for you guys. In my Book Solid course, I have an advanced version of the calculator that is going to get into a bit more depth to these answers. And this is what I'm going to use to walk through this with you guys today. If you're in Book Solid, you do have access to this. If you're not in the Book Solid course, you don't. However, you will have access to the free one that I'll make sure to share with you guys, okay? In the Book Solid one, this one's going to get into a lot more depth and a lot more control with it. All right, so here's what we first need to do. What we first need to do is we have we've got to take a look at like what is it cost? Like, what are my personal expenses? And as we're looking at our personal expenses, again, listen, you can't do anything unless you know your numbers. So you got to take a look at your personal expenses, but I want you to factor out your personal expenses here, only thinking about literally the expenses that it requires to live. Okay. So like, this isn't the gym. This isn't Netflix. It's probably internet because I think it's kind of required, but it's not cable TV. This isn't Starbucks, but this is your groceries. This isn't driving your car across state to go and visit a friend, but it is driving your car to the kids' school, to the library, to the grocery store, like those type of things. And so we're going to calculate your monthly expense. Like, what does it cost you to live, just like your personal expenses currently? And this is going to really help us to get honest and clear about your lifestyle choices. Okay. And so let's go ahead and we'll take a look at this. So giving, so maybe you give to your church, or maybe you give to World Vision or something like that. And so we're going to say like $100 a month I give. I'm just going to make up numbers here for you guys to see. Maybe I've got a mortgage here. Maybe my mortgage is like $2,000 a month. My utilities, I don't really have a gauge for this. Maybe my utilities a month are like $150 or something. Again, making up numbers here. I'm just going to group that into the all section. Car payment, I don't have a car payment. I do have car insurance though. Maybe a month of car insurance. Again, I've got no real gauge for this. I just have it set up on auto pay. I'm going to boot we'll say $100 a month. Vehicle gas, let's go ahead and throw in $50 a month. I don't do a ton of driving. Health insurance, man, that's a doozy, right? Like, we need these things. These are all essentials. And so health insurance, I may say something like a month, like for my whole kit and caboodle, it says $1,000. I got kids, I got a wife, all that kind of stuff. And sure, we've got other things. Anything else we could think of? Maybe a phone line here. That's like another $100 a month. We'll go no credit card debt. Maybe student loans. Maybe I'll just go no. Groceries are a big thing. Let's go like $400 a month with groceries. Again, guys, I'm just making up numbers here. Don't get too caught up on that. And so maybe here I'm seeing that my monthly expenses just for living is $5,900. Okay, annually that's going to be $70,000. Okay. Now, what we're going to end up taking a look at here is I go off of the 50-20-30 rule. I'm going to cut over to me right now so you don't get too distracted here. The 50-20-30 rule says, listen, I've got to make $70,000 a year. That's what that just showed you guys right here. If I go back here to my personal expenses, that just showed me total annual expenses, $70,800, right? Like, that's what it requires me and my family to just live on this earth, not like enjoy it, not set aside retirement. Literally, I'm not even going out to eat with that. That is the bare minimum. The 50-20-30 rule is a rule that I like. Some people don't like it because it's a rule that's aggressive in that it forces you to to like live a life worth living. Like it's a rule that doesn't leave you living paycheck to paycheck, but really leaves you living in a way that I want all of you guys to be living. The 50-20-30 rule suggests that 50% of your take home, 50% of it is literally just your expenses. So that means if following the 50-20-30 rule, then that means that this 70,000 is only 50%, 70,800 is only 50% of what I'm going to take home from my photography business. It's only 50% of it. That means that there's another 20% and another 30%. There's a whole other 50% of this that's going to be used for other things. And that's called living. That's called like actually having a business that serves you. That's called actually having a business that like profits. And so with the 50-20-30 rule, again, it's an aggressive rule, I understand, but it's good to have goals in mind. Maybe right now, so let's go back over to this. The 50-20-30 rule, the 20% of it right here would be for savings. So that means I'm going to set aside $28,320 annually for savings. Okay. So that's going to get set aside because listen, that may sound like a lot, but like that savings, that's going to be for like your retirement. That savings is maybe going to be for your emergency fund. That savings is going to be for maybe paying off debt early. That savings is going to be for lining up maybe like your kids, maybe like their 529, like their college account. Like you've got your savings here that you should be like investing into, okay? And then there's a 30%. That 30% is discretionary income, okay? So 42,480. By the way, you guys, this right here, so savings, not business. Yeah, this is just personal life. This isn't even looking at the business yet, okay? So this is not business savings, it's personal savings, okay? So now discretionary income. Discretionary income is like, well, I want to take my kids to Disney. I want to go out to eat. I want to have a gym membership. I want to have Netflix. I think having Apple Plus to watch Ted Lasso would be pretty great. I also know that my car is going to break down. I'm going to need a new car here, and I'd like to save up for maybe a Tesla. We'd like to also have some discretionary income kind of set aside also for maybe some more aggressive investing. Maybe I want to consider looking at investing a little bit more aggressively into a diversified income of crypto and this and that. Maybe I want to actually consider looking at like another property, maybe an Airbnb. So like you've got some more aggressive investings, some more aggressive retirement planning that you could be doing. I put savings, I put that into like the standard retirement planning, index funds, your Roth IRA, that kind of stuff. And again, this is not financial advice, by the way. But like with the discretionary income, maybe that's stuff that's a little bit more aggressive. Maybe it's not a surefire win. Maybe it's buying a Bitcoin or two, right? But like, listen, this right here, that's aggressive. This is what I want you guys to hear. The 50-20-30 rule. This is how I currently live my life. And I got to tell you, it's a really sweet life. It's like when you're bringing in that much revenue that you can actually enjoy, that you don't have to stress about things. Like we're about to take my kids to Disney here in April again. Like that's a really great goal to move towards. But now, again, maybe the 50-20-30 rule is too aggressive. Maybe for you, it's not really realistic. And so maybe instead it's like, okay, 50% personal expenses, but I can adjust this. And I could say, well, maybe I'm going to do the 50-10-10 rule, right? So the 50-10-10 rule, it's going to adjust these automatically. So it's going to say, hey, you still got your personal expenses to live, but now your savings is going to be 14,000 and your discretionary income is going to be 14,000. Okay. Maybe that's even aggressive for you. Maybe you're like, man, Ben, that sounds really great. I'm just not there yet. So this is inside of the Book Solid course. I do have a free version for you guys to kind of give that it's simplified. But okay, so I just want to kind of show you guys the calculations here that are going on. I'm going to go back to the 50-20-30 rule because I'm creating a business that allows me to design my own life. All right. So now the 50-20-30 rule, that's now saying that my take-home salary, you guys, take home. Not this is after taxes. I want that baby to be $141,000. $141,000. Okay. Well, estimated tax bracket, maybe, I mean, you've just got to look at who's president, what's going on. Maybe that's 30% now. Maybe that's lower. Maybe it's higher. You can change out this number in my calculator here. We'll just keep it at 30% here. That's now going to say that I'm going to have an estimated taxes. Again, this has nothing to do with business yet. This is just your personal goals of $60,000. My target total salary is now $202,000. That's what I want to be taking home. Okay. That's what I want to be bringing in for my salary, target total salary. Okay. Now, again, that's literally just looking at the personal goals right now. Like that's just that. And again, I'm going to reemphasize this. The 50-20-30 rule is an aggressive rule for building a business that allows you to design the life that you want to live. So that way in 5, 10, 20 years, you're not panicking over paycheck to paycheck. That means that when 40 years hits and you want to go and retire, you've actually created investments for yourself. You've actually set up a retirement. That means that you actually have health insurance. Okay. So like the 50-20-30 rule is something that, again, you might not start out with it. You might start out with, right now, if you're looking to quit your day job, a 50-10-10 rule. Okay. So now that's just looking at the personal. Now let's go over to business. Okay. Let's go over to the business expenses. So the business expenses is now, this is where we're going to take a look at, well, how much do I pay annually for marketing? And I broke it down. You could do it all together here, or you could do Facebook ads and not networking, SEO, all that kind of stuff. Let's go ahead and hypothetically say that in a given year, my marketing budget is like $4,000. Again, making up numbers. Okay. So don't get too caught up in this. Maybe my studio rent is another $1,000. Maybe I've got some random office supplies, and the random office supplies that I have is like, well, I've got to pay for like tissues and candles for clients and like maybe some pens, that kind of stuff. So maybe like annually it's like $50 a year or something. Okay. Website hosting, I've got to pay for that. Maybe that's $25 or maybe it's like $100 a year. Again, I'm just making stuff up. Subscriptions to like Show It. Maybe that's another like $100. So, office cell phone, I don't have that. Everything just goes through my personal line. File delivery. This would be like Shootproof, Shootproof, Pixie Set. What are the other ones that exist? Pass, right? So, okay, yeah. So file delivery system, maybe annually. What are those normally? Like $30 a month, 30 times 12. I'm just going to say 300. Business insurance, this would be like liability insurance, equipment insurance, maybe that's $1,000. Maybe you got a lot of equipment. Okay, good. So now equipment, maybe you budget like $3,000 for equipment. My advice is when you're looking at your equipment and your education spend, that your education spend should bare minimum equal your equipment spend, if not more. You guys, a new camera is not going to make you more money. Listen to me. A new camera is not going to make you more money. It won't. Just telling you, it's not going to make you more money. But when you invest in yourself, you don't have to invest with me, by the way. When you invest in yourself, when you buy books, when you buy courses, when you buy mentoring, when you buy coaching, when you go to a workshop, when you go to a conference, that will make you more money. Make sure that your education investment is at least the same as your equipment. I'm going to make this baby $5,000 annually. Okay. Accounting, bookkeeping, all that kind of stuff. Calendly. I put in a whole bunch of things here, right? Okay, sweet. So let's just go ahead and we'll leave it at that. All right. I'm skipping a bunch of stuff here. So my total annual expenses for the business is $14,550. Broken down monthly is $1,212. Okay. Now, this right here, this number is not factoring in the cost of goods sold. This is your overhead. That means that no matter what happens, if I don't book anybody, the overhead for my business, what I'm on the line for annually is $14,550. That's my overhead. That's getting burned no matter what happens. If I book 0 people, I'm burning $14,550. You know what I'm saying? Now, that's different than our cost of goods sold. With our cost of goods sold, listen, that's just when people actually buy from us. This is great. When you actually incur cost of goods sold expenses, that means that someone paid you money. So we have to calculate them, but we're going to calculate them differently. And so when you do this, you're going to have to, at least with this calculator, average out when someone buys from you, average out what that what those cost of goods sold are. And it's gonna vary depending on the collection that they purchase. Again, so we're just gonna look at the averages. And so maybe the average album that a client buys is gonna cost you $150. All right. Maybe the average wall art that a client buys is gonna cost you $200. Maybe your second shooter on average is gonna cost you $400 if you have a second shooter. Maybe your editing on average is gonna cost you like $150 per event that gets edited. Maybe the gifts that you get your clients on average is gonna cost you $200. Again, I'm making this up right now. Don't get too caught up on these numbers. All right. And so now my total cost every time I book a photo session is $1,100. That's like the cost. When someone books me for this imaginary session that I just made up, it's going to cost me hypothetically $1,100. This would probably be more like for a wedding. You know what I mean? Like if you're doing like a full print, a full collection for wedding photography, right? Because I've got a second shooter in here that's costing me $400. If you're doing portraiture, you're not going to have that, right? Okay, cool. You guys tracking so far? All right, let me go ahead and pause on this for a hot second. And now we're gonna go back over to this completed section here, and we're gonna take a look now at the total kind of everything here, looking at the personal expenses and these business expenses, okay? Let me hop over here, see what you guys are saying here. Okay, good. This is bullshit. My R6 went outside and maybe $5,000 while I was inside watching football. Okay, good. Someone says 100% agree. Good equipment is good, but good education, aka Benz, appreciate that, is 10x better. Okay, good. Yeah, it won't. Tell them. Yeah, I know, but we want this shiny new things. I know. I get it, by the way. I just so you know, I totally get it. Okay, I'm just dead that I went to my accountant and financial advisor trying to find calculators like this, and Ben had it in the course I bought like 4 months ago. Yeah, this is in Book Solid. This is there for you guys in Book Solid. Again, if you're just joining right now, this pricing calculator that I'm going through is inside of the Book Solid course. I'm going to share with you guys a free version that's a simplified version. It doesn't give you as much control, but it'll kind of get your foot in the door to look at some things I'll share with you. I'll share that with you in a minute. Okay, so let's keep going now. So we've got our personal expenses, a quick review, 50-20-30 rule. These are all the personal expenses, the taxes that we're going to be paying off those. Notice how we're not paying taxes on the business expenses. These are tax write-offable. And again, I'm going to simplify things. You've got to talk to your own CPA to figure out how much of it you're able to write off. You know, if you've got like drinks and meals in here for cost of goods sold, maybe that's not 100% write-offable. However, listen closely. It is for this year, 2021. You get 100% of your client meals and drinks are 100% write-offable this year because the government is trying to push small businesses to go and take your clients out to eat. They're trying to support small businesses with greater tax incentives, and they're trying to support the restaurant industries by getting more people out. And so 2021 and I believe 2022 are 100% write-offable, all your client meals. So actually, quick little pro tip, I'm not a CPA, but when you go out to eat, try to talk about business. Try to talk about business when you go out to eat and you save that receipt. All right, babe? Okay, cool. I am not a CPA. This is not professional advice. Okay, so now let's go back into this here. So now let's take a look. My cost of goods sold every time I book a client for a wedding, we'll say, is $1,100. My business expenses monthly, I'm here in the blue box. My business expenses monthly is $1,212. Annual expenses, the overhead, okay? Combined with the personal expenses right here, okay. Now this is where it gets a little wild. We are going to plug in this, I'm moving this little slideshow around. I want to factor in my target number of main events annually, right? So like when I say my main events, maybe I'm a portrait photographer. And so maybe family sessions are my main event, right? Does that make sense? So this calculator can be used for portrait photography. It can be used for wedding photography. So maybe I'm a portrait photographer and I want to be doing 50 sessions annually. All right. Now there's this other section here, additional photography sessions, but maybe I also do like 5 weddings on the side just because I like shooting weddings every now and then. And so maybe I do 5 weddings on the side. I'm going to change the red numbers 5. And maybe typically for a wedding, because it's not my main thing, typically a wedding, maybe I profit $3,000 a wedding. Okay. So it allows for you to factor in like your main events and then your side, like your little side chick over here. So I'm going to do this for weddings though. So maybe I only want to photograph 15 weddings a year and I don't do any portraits or anything. So I'm going to just put this at 0. Okay. Cause I don't really do any portraits. I'm not making any money with that. So I want to photograph 15 weddings. Okay. Very good. Let's go through this. All right. So the combined totals, business expenses plus my total target salary. That means, overall, I want to be bringing in with my business expenses and my personal life $216,000. This green box everybody skips because no one is thinking about the profit of their business. All right. This profit of your business is something that you should be thinking about. I'm going to cut back to me real quick. Right now, again, I'm just living my life. I'm looking at my personal expenses. I'm looking at the 20-30 rule to consider my own personal savings and my own personal discretionary income. I'm looking at my business expenses. But the thing that I haven't considered is, what does it look like for my business to actually be building value? What does it look like for my business to be profiting? Meaning not just like bleeding out all of the money to me personally. Okay. But for my business to be setting aside a profit. Now, the reason that you would want to be setting aside a profit for your business, there's really 3 main reasons. Number 1 is, so your business actually has value. So that way, maybe someday if you wanted to sell your business, that it would be like accumulating a profit every year that you could point to and say, this business is worth something. It's actually creating profit. You should buy it from me. So that may be one reason. The second reason is for innovation. When you actually have a set aside profit for your business that allows you as the business owner to innovate the company, that means, well, maybe you could use some of that profit to go hire on an office manager. Or maybe you could use some of that profit to invest into diversifying and setting up a sister brand for your associate model. Or maybe you could use that profit of the business to open up a new branch for your lifetime photographer, where after the wedding, you go on to photograph maternity, newborn, and then family portraits. Okay. And so with the business's profit, it allows you to innovate. That would be a brilliant thing, right? I had another reason, but fairy dust just disappeared from me. Okay. And so what I want to share with you guys is, this is where you can actually consider what you want your business to be profiting. Now, I started off with a pretty low projection here at 3%. You can go ahead and you can go in there and you could change that. Maybe that's still aggressive for you. Maybe you're just be lucky to profit the business at like 1%, which would be setting aside $2,000, right? Maybe you get down the area, which, by the way, I really recommend that you be increasing your profit annually. So each year your business profits further and further and further. So maybe that's only you increase at 1%. Okay, to start. And so maybe year 1, you're at 5% profit. And then you look at next year and you start looking to hit some new goals where you're going to go to like 6% profit. Okay. Now let's keep going. Extra income. This is a great question. This is like, well, Ben, you didn't factor in my wife's salary here. Like, yeah, I've got all these personal expenses and we want to have the 20-30 rule for savings and discretionary income. But this is suggesting that the only revenue is coming from photography. So I do have this extra income source. Like my wife, she brings in $70,000 a year, hypothetically, right? Or, well, my husband brings in $50,000 a year. That's a great extra annual source, an extra income source. So you can put this in here and it'll help you to adjust your goals. Notice right here, my gross revenue goal is 196,000. If I take away this additional 50, it's going to go and increase by 50,000. All right. Now, someone's saying it's getting cut off. My bad, my friends, my bad. Here we go. Thank you for letting me know that. I apologize. Okay, so this little extra income source is for if you have maybe a second job. Maybe you're working a part-time job at Denny's. Maybe you're working as a server while you're building your photography business up. You can go ahead and drop in that extra income source annually inside that orange box. Or maybe you've got a partner that's supporting the business and they're providing income. My advice for you is this. My advice for you, my married friends, my people in partnerships, is that you try to build your business, your photography business, in a way that is independent, that allows you to completely support the life that you want to live, completely independent from any partner's income. Because if there's anything that we've learned, it's that nothing's permanent. It's like, God forbid, what if they lose their job? Right? Or what if things happen? Listen, the world's a crazy place. What if things happen and you guys separate? I really want you to have a business that allows you to live the life that you want to live, completely independent from anybody else's income. Okay, that's just that's a recommendation that I would encourage you to have. And yet, this is your life. And so, like, when you go back over to this, you can go ahead and put that extra income source annually here. And again, maybe you're working a part-time job. Maybe you're working a second job. Maybe you got a day job. Maybe you've got a partner that is supporting, you pool all your resources together. You can put their annual income in there, okay? Now, again, down here, income from additional photography sessions. All right. This little income from additional photography sessions, all that is it's pulling from this down here. Remember I showed you, hold on. I showed you these additional photography sessions. And so like hypothetically, let's say maybe in a given year, I pick up like 5 portrait gigs and I bring in an extra 1,500 for each of those. You will see right here, it's going to give me an additional $7,500 from those things. Okay. So now what this allows me to do is it's going to tell me right here, my total overall gross revenue goal that I got to hit is 238,000. Okay. This little blue question, this is the question. How much would you need to average, or how would need to average this amount you would need, oh my goodness, my brain. You would need to average this amount per your main photography event to actually hit that goal. So if I wanted to only photograph 15 weddings, right here, 15, that means I'm gonna have to average $15,923 a wedding. Again, this was my made up thing just for you guys to see. And so, shit, I'm not gonna do that. So that means that I need to look at, maybe I need to photograph 30 weddings a year instead of 15. When I change that to 30, my new goal here is 8,511. Maybe I'm like, well, no, I don't want to kill myself. I only want to photograph 15 weddings. That means that I need to bring down my personal expenses. That means I need to change my lifestyle. So maybe I need to move and not have a $2,000 a month rent or mortgage and downsize to a $1,000 a month mortgage. And that right there brings this number down to 13,500. Maybe I need to get rid of my office. So maybe I go over to my personal expenses and I'm like, well, shoot, I really can't afford my rent. So I'm going to get rid of my office, whatever it is. I'm just suggesting that when you see this number here, there's other places to adjust. Maybe I need to go pick up a second job that brings in an additional 20,000 a year to bring this down. Again, maybe I need to go and photograph 25 weddings where there's a nice compromise. If I were to photograph 25 weddings with all these made up numbers, it's going to tell me the average that I need to be selling my artwork at. The average I need to be hitting is 7,697. Okay? 700. Now, here's where it gets a little bit more fun in this little pricing calculator. Is down here is my current state. This is the current state of my world versus my goals. So this is where I get to get a really honest look at my life. And I get to say, okay, my current average revenue per wedding or per event, let's say I'm a wedding photographer or a portrait photographer, is $2,500. The number of events that I currently have booked for this year is 5. The additional income that I'm getting from other photography gigs is 0. That means my total gross revenue is $12,500. And the difference from this is negative $179,000. Again, this is being really bleak right now, you guys. I'm just trying to show you that this calculator will put all this together and it'll allow you to get really honest with your life. Do you need to photograph more events? Do you need to increase the profit per event? Do you need to decrease your lifestyle within your personal choices? Maybe, honestly, again, I was looking at the 50-20-30 rule here. Maybe you're just starting out and the 50-20-30 rule is once again too aggressive. And maybe you need to consider like a 50-10-10 rule. right? If I were to do a 50-10-10 rule, now I need to make $5,560 a month. Okay. Does that make sense? I'm sorry, not a month, $5,560 per event that I'm booking. Again, just to be clear, these are all made up numbers. The reason that they're all out of whack is because I literally just typed in numbers. But this calculator will show you guys how to do all this. Once you get a good, honest look at your numbers, you can start setting goals. Maybe to start year one, it's a 50-10-10 rule. Maybe year two, it's a 50-20-20 rule. Maybe year three, it's a 50-20-30 rule. You know what I'm saying? But this will really help you guys to get a clear aim. What is the aim? What's the direction you're hitting? And how do you actually hit that goal? Okay. Now, again, for you guys, this whole calculator right here is in the Book Solid course. It's all set up. Everything is factored in for how to do all this stuff. There is a free version of this calculator that is it's a simplified version. And there's actually a couple things that I'm updating on it right now. So there, if you go to it right now, it might be broken potentially because I'm changing a couple things on it. But there's a free version of it. If you go to sixfigurephotography.com/pricing calculator. Let me go ahead and I'm going to post this into the comments here over on Facebook. It is a free version of it that's not as advanced. It doesn't allow you all the control that the one inside of Book Solid does, and it doesn't have all of the features. However, it's a good one to kind of get you guys started. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to paste this. I'm going to comment on my own video right now. Oh, I can't for some reason. I'll comment after. For some reason, it's not allowing me to comment. Yeah, so I'll comment on it once I wrap up this video here, okay? So let me see what you guys, so somebody said, that my takeaway, I'm definitely not charging the right amount. Now listen, the takeaway could be you're not charging enough. It could be that you need to photograph more events. It could be a combination of those two things. It could also be a combination of potentially adjusting your lifestyle until you can move these things up, right? Okay. When does the course open? So, Juanita, the course is going to be opening here in April. So Book Solid is going to open back up in April, for you guys. Wait, did I miss it? Is the Book Solid course open now? No, it's not yet. In April, if you go to benhartley.com, let me just do that for you guys here. I'll show you. If you just go to, benhartley.com, and then click on Book Solid course, there'll be a little wait list here. When it opens back up in April, you'll be notified. Okay. Okay, thank you. Yeah, here's somebody just went ahead and they typed it in. sixfigurephotography.com/pricing calculator is the basic version of the pricing calculator. And again, when I say pricing calculator, just remember that this calculator, it cannot tell you that people are willing to pay this. It cannot tell you that this is what you ought to charge for your photography and for your service. But what it can begin to open up for you is an awareness to, oh, wow, I need to be photographing more events, or, oh, wow, I need to get my pricing up a bit higher, or, oh, wow, the lifestyle choices that I currently have, I may need to open up my credit card statement and take a look at what monthly expenses can be deleted. Like, what do I really need right now? Because maybe this is a period of time where I hunker down a little bit and I really focus in on my education, or I focus in on the guidance or the mentoring or the coaching, or maybe I focus in on the marketing side of things, right? And so that may mean that you kind of tighten your belt in other areas of your life. This pricing calculator will really just help to kind of create an awareness to some of these numbers and then empower you to set your aims, set your goals, and know what you need to be doing, okay? All right, you guys. Yeah, so someone said, is the Book Solid the online course or is that Abundance? Book Solid is the online course. It's a course on how to win more inquiries at higher prices, okay? Abundance is an in-person workshop here at the studio. The next one is going to be April 18th, okay? It's an in-person workshop, 4 days long, really intense. They're like 13-hour days. With a very small, tight group of photographers. There'll probably be around like 10 photographers here in April. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Book Solid. Yeah. People are saying, yeah, you have the same question. We're into that too. Oh yeah. How much did you budget? So Book Solid is $2,300. Okay. It does have a full year. By the way, this isn't a pitch on that. That's not my aim here, but you asked the question, so I'll answer it. It's $2,300. There's a full 12-month payment plan. Okay. Yeah, someone said I've been on the wait list for months. Okay, yeah, 2,300. Yep, there's a 12-month payment plan. Okay, all right, you guys. Wait, thanks for hanging out with me today. Appreciate it. Again, if you want this version of it here, wait, not that. sixfigurephotography.com/pricing little dash calculator is the free version. I'm updating a couple things here, but I'll just kind of walk you through it real quick. It's going to ask you again to calculate your personal expenses. It's then going to estimate your tax bracket. It's just going to estimate it. Okay. It's not like guaranteed. It's then going to give you a breakdown using the 50-20-30 rule. And then you're going to put in your business expenses. You're going to put in your cost of goods sold. And then you click on this button here and it is going to show you, how much you should be charging. It's a simplified version of what I just went over, and it does not allow you to customize things, and it doesn't allow you to keep all the data here like what you would have here inside of BookSolid. Okay. And okay, cool. Well, there you go, you guys. Thanks for hanging out with me today. I really appreciate it. I hope that this gives you, again, numbers are frustrating. Maybe they can be, but they're also really empowering. When you push through the anxiety, when you push through the fear of looking at these things in the eye, when you push through that and you get a really clear view of it, it really empowers you, and it shows you what you need to be doing next. And I'm also here to say that this is all possible. This is all so very possible. I've seen countless photographers live incredible lives, getting to do what they love and getting to support their families in the most meaningful way ever doing it. And it's so rewarding to see. It's incredibly rewarding to see. The last thing that I want you guys to hear from me is this before I hang up this live video. The number one thing that you can do for your clients, is make a damn profit in your business. It's the number one thing you can do for your clients. Because if you run a business that runs itself into the ground, you don't have a business, and your clients won't have someone to hire next year. The number one thing you can do for your clients is make an actual profit, because with that, again, it allows you to give back to them. It allows you to innovate. It allows you to provide more value. It allows you to keep giving them all of the feels and all of the value that you so long to give. And if you can't do that, you don't have if you can't profit, you don't have a business. You're going under. The number one thing, the best thing that you can do for your clients is to actually have a business that profits, okay? So no more dogging on yourself. No more feeling shame or guilt about actually making money for your business. Because the only way you can keep showing up for your clients is if you have this thing, all right? Appreciate you guys. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.